चेक कर लो जरा। जरा चेक कर लो अभी। देखो।
Good morning. I, Mayan Bhandari, would like to take this opportunity on behalf of DoSCI 2023 to welcome all the dignitaries, management, organizers, researchers, academicians, and students to the one-day program of Doctoral Symposium on Computational Intelligence DoSCI 2023 organized by Institute of Engineering and Technology, a constituent college of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, India, in association with University of Calabria, Italy, and Bhagwan Parshuram Institute of Technology, India, sponsored by Springer LNNS Series, SRGE, Scientific Research Group Egypt, SATIT, Sciences and Technology of Image and Telecommunications, Tunisia, SGRT, Scientific Group of Research and Technology, Publication Partner Springer, Elsevier, Wiley, MDPI, InderScience. We would like to express our sincere gratitude for your presence in this opening ceremony as the gateway to initiation of our scientific program. Doctoral Symposium on Computational Intelligence, DOSCI 2023, is organized with the objective of bringing together innovative scientists, professors, research scholars, students, and industrial experts in the field of computational intelligence to a common forum. The primary goal of the conference is to promote the exchange of innovative scientific information between researchers, developers, engineers, students, and practitioners. Another goal is to promote the transformation of fundamental research into institutional and industrialized research and to convert applied exploration into real-time application. Overall, the conference will provide the researchers and attendees with prospects for national and international collaboration and networking among universities and institutions from India and abroad for promoting research.
Institute of Engineering and Technology, Lucknow, hereafter called RET, popularly known as the Engineering College in Lucknow, is one of the premium and top-ranked institute amongst all technical institutions affiliated to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, hereafter called AKTU. IET was established by the government of Uttar Pradesh in 1984 as a society-governed institute. The institute is financed by government of Uttar Pradesh and is being administered by the Executive Council of AKTU. IET Lucknow was started as the Faculty of Engineering and Technology of University of Lucknow. Initially, in the year 1984, it offered BTech degree in 3 programs, namely Computer Science and Engineering, Electrical Engineering, and Electronic and Communication Engineering. In the subsequent years, 2 more programs, that are BTech in Civil Engineering and BTech in Mechanical Engineering, came into existence. The campus was developed by the Uttar Pradesh Rajkiya Nirman Nigam Ltd on 100 acres, 0.40 kilometers square land provided by the government of Uttar Pradesh. IET campus comprises of administrative blocks, academic blocks, boys and girls hostel, and nearly 100 residents for teaching and non-teaching staff members. Lucknow Development Authority LDA provided required support for construction of external roads, electric supply, drainage, and sewage for the institute. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University AKTU was established by the government of Uttar Pradesh Wide Act Amendment number 1156 24 2015 dated September 9, 2015, Uttar Pradesh, Adhinya Sankhya 23 of 2000. Under the University Act, technical education includes programs of education, research, and training in engineering, technology, architecture, town planning, pharmacy, applied arts and crafts, and such other programs. And area that the central government may in constitution with all India Council for Technical Education AICTE by notification in Gazette declared the university is affiliating in nature and its jurisdiction span the entire state of UP in affiliating BTech, MBA, MCA, BArch, BPharm, BHMCT, MTech and PhD programs in 756 colleges, institutions, imparting graduate, postgraduate and doctoral level training in all government and private institutions located all over UP in engineering, technology, architecture, pharmacy, hotel management, and catering technology, as well as MBA and MCA programs. AKTU was reconstituted as Gautam Buddha Technical University, Lucknow, and Mahamaya Technical University, Noida. On 1st May 2010, through amendment of UP Government Wide Act number 05 of 2010, subsequently UP Government again combined the Gautam Buddha Technical University and Mahamaya Technical University. With effect from 1st November 2013, White Amendment Act 21st of 2013 and reconstituted AKTU Lucknow. Taking this even further, I am overwhelmed to now welcome Dr. Ashish Khanna, convener DoSCI 2022-23, to brief us about the conference. Sorry, sir, you are on mute. Sir, please unmute.
आशीष अनम्यूट करो अपने आप को. आशीष प्लीज अनम्यूट.
Sir, please
You are on
unmute.
mute.
I'm sorry. I think due to some technical issue, I was on mute. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. Good morning to all the dignitaries, academicians, students, people from the industry, and all the participants from all over the globe. On behalf of DoSCI 2023, I, Dr. Ashish Khanna, the convener of the conference, welcomes you all to the 4th Doctoral Symposium on Computational Intelligence, that is DoSCI 2023, organized by Institute of Engineering and Technology, a constituent college of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, in association with University of Calabria, BPIT, Italy, and Universal Innovator Lab. Apart from academic collaboration, DoSCI 2023 also has the support of international labs like SGRT, SRGE from Egypt, SETIT from Tunisia, and SITER from United Kingdom. Dear all, we just have bitten the pandemic of COVID-19. We still can see the after effects of the pandemic. Conservative systems of the pre-pandemic age are operational very differently now with new difficulties and adaptations of the dynamic world. Consequently, in the period of multidisciplinary research, the requirement of the platforms like DoSCI increases tenfold, where researchers, students, and industry experts can come together to brainstorm, share, and present new ideas and technology. Let me share with all you the successful journey and small history of DoSCI conference series. The journey of DoSCI conferences started in 2020, where the first version of the doctoral symposium was organized at Delhi University College, SSCBS at Delhi, with the publication support of DoSCI. In 2021, another era of DoSCI started, where under the able guidance of Professor Vineet Kansal sir and Professor D.S. Yadav sir, and in collaboration with multiple other research-based and academic partners, the DoSCI conference reached a new height and became truly international by the submission of quality papers from all over the globe. Similarly, again in the third version of the DoSCI 2023, the registered paper were published in the lecture notes on Networks and Systems series of the Springer LNNS series, is Scopus SCI Mago, Web of Science Indexed, and is one of the reputed series of Springer. All the proceedings of the conference are now available online. Whereas in the current year, DoSCI 2023 have received around 400 submissions from 20 countries, and after the rigorous peer review, a total of 75 papers have been accepted and registered for the publication with an acceptance ratio of only 19%. And papers will be published by Springer LNNS series. We welcome all the keynote speakers and collaborators from France, Italy, Mexico, Turkey, and IIT Kanpur. DoSCI conference series is among one of the most successful and unique form of the conference, helping PhD students and research scholars to publish their quality research papers. Apart from publishing papers in Springer LNNS series, the further selected and extended papers of the registered paper will be sent to the following SCI and Scopus journals. The name of the journals are IEEE Journal of Biomedical and Health Informatics, a SCI index journal with an impact factor of 5, above 5, Computer and Electrical Engineering of Elsewhere, a SCI index journal with an impact factor of 3.81, Expert System of Wiley, a SCI index journal with an impact factor of around 2.58. With this small history and information about DoSCI, I welcome all the dignitaries, authors, and attendees of the conference. Let us all enjoy sharing and gaining of the knowledge to develop new ideas for the human welfare and growth. Thank you. Over to you, Dipanshi.
Thank you so much for a wonderful address, sir. Now, I would like to call upon Professor Abhishek Swaroop, Symposium Chair, DoSCI 2023.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Warm good morning to one and all. I welcome Professor D.S. Yadav, my teacher and my senior, Professor Vineet Kansal, my friend, philosopher and guide, Dr. Ashish Khanna, Professor Y.N. Singh, and Professor Fortino from University of Calabria, other organizers, and all the participants. On behalf of BPIT and Doctoral Symposium, I welcome you once again for this auspicious event. Since last few years, Doctoral Symposium has gained prominence in the research arena because the field which it focuses on is computational intelligence, and the most talked about area in the computer science research is computational intelligence. So we have been receiving a good number of papers which are being scrutinized at a very tough through a very tough review process. And as Dr. Ashish Khanna told, that selection ratio is very less, which shows the quality of the papers which are published through this doctoral symposium. So thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening the audience. Next, I take the opportunity to call upon Professor Vineet Kansal, General Chair, DoSCI 2023.
Thank you, Dipanshi. I believe. Thank you, Dipanshi, and my young students, all the participants, my colleagues at Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Lucknow, and other fellow collaborative institutions, Professor Fortino, Professor Castillo, Professor Mishra from IIT Kanpur, Professor Vandana Sehgal, and dear researchers and colleagues who are the part of this conference. Now we are in a very, fortunate sequence of events when, we are going through the Amrit Kal of Azadi Ka Mahotsav, and we are going through the presidency of G20. And G20, when we are doing the presidency, our country doing the presidency of G20, and G20, which is, having the 90% of the share of the global GDP. And when we have the 80% of the global trade are being done by the G20 countries, and 2/3 of the population of the world is also residing in these G20 countries, which is working on a pragmatic global solutions of the well-being of the humankind. And the theme is the Vasudha Kutumbakam. So is it very, very pertinent when we look forward to find out this innovative solutions through a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach. When you're talking about the computational intelligence, this computational intelligence is talking about sensing, understanding, learning, and to the thinking through, artificial intelligence. When we have been the students, in early 80s, we have been doing the course of artificial intelligence. And now in the era of 2030, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, it has become a buzzword. We are talking about machine learnings and other things in a popular fashion. What has made it so popular? It is the algorithmic power, computational, well-being, and the intelligent algorithms. I think this is the time when we have to capitalize those innovations, those algorithms, and to look forward the basic ingredient of this computational intelligence, talking about neural networks, fuzzy systems, and the algorithms optimizations through this computational intelligence. As my colleagues were saying, it is 19% of the acceptance ratio. And this fourth version of DoSCI has gained a momentum, talking about the submission of the quality papers, participation of around 20 countries, whereby the papers are being submitted. So it speaks about the quality and the spread and the width of this conference. I wish all the very best, and I'm sure the participants, the researchers who are making the presentations, deliberations, and would be learning through the keynote speakers would be a great learning for all of them, and it would be a great knowledge to their body of knowledge. I wish all the best, and thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now I welcome Professor Y.M. Singh, Head, CSED, IET, Lucknow.
May I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
So a very good morning to all of you. Here steering committee members of DoSCI 2023. Honorable Patron, Professor Vandana Sehgal Madam, Director, IIT Lucknow. General Chair members, Professor Yadav, Professor Kansal, and my colleagues here in IIT Lucknow, and Professor Fortino from University of Calabria, Italy. Honorary Chair members, Dr. S.K. Mishra, Dr. Oscar from Mexico. Symposium Chair members, Dr. Abhishek from BPIT Delhi, Dr. Balas from Romania. Conveners, Dr. Ashish Khanna and Dr. Deepak Gupta from Indraprasth University, New Delhi. all honorable members, technical program committee members, advisory committee members, young authors, ladies and gentlemen, who are connected to this inaugural function of DoSCI 23 across the globe. Very good morning to all of you. Firstly, Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Institute of Engineering and Technology welcomes you all in the 4th edition of Doctoral Symposium on Computational Intelligence that is being organized with BPIT Delhi in association with the University of Calabria, Italy. In my view, DoSCI provides a good platform to young researchers to share their ideas, studies, novel results, and findings related to computational intelligence and the emerging technologies and its subdomains. As the theme of this symposium is very wide, therefore, I believe it opens a good space or enough space to a range of participations from across academia and industries. Rather, I would be very happy to see the researchers or the research findings submitted to this doctoral symposium who primarily address the issues that what we are facing in our day-to-day life. I would like to highlight few of them. For example, in healthcare, it is indeed a prime necessity of the society, means how this computational intelligence makes accessible, affordable, and quality healthcare across the globe. In particular, if we talk about the healthcare sections, then prediction of pandemics that are to be faced or that will be faced globally in the near future, as predicted by the most of the innovators, are the real need of today's researchers. For example, if we talk about the education sections, then how we can better use this computational intelligence for anywhere and anytime access of quality education. Once we see another area, for example, the smart cities, the smart mobility and transportation, nevertheless, the computational intelligence can have a wide role in efficient operations to control the urban activities. Or we can say the better urban resource optimizations. For example, if we talk about the intelligent traffic management, then how a speedy and safer transportations could be possible with the help of computational intelligence or these advanced technologies. Lastly, and not the least, rather we are Indians, we never forget the role of agriculture in everyone's life. So the agriculture sector, the use of this AI, ML technology for transforming traditional agriculture to mechanized, or you can say the computational intelligence enabled agriculture technology for increasing farmers' income or productivity. These are some, the prime necessities, along with what we call as the waste management. So these problems should be addressed by such type of platforms. And since it is a good opportunity here, since young brains or researchers are interacting and listening to us, they might do some work, or they might in fact currently engage in these applications areas to solve these problems. So finally, before concluding or highlighting these applications, I would like to share you that we have a good intellectual bench of academics and researchers in our department at IIT Lucknow who are continuously working in different areas of computational intelligence. Therefore, I am pleased to offer that the next edition of this doctoral symposium should be held in our department and in the offline mode at IIT Lucknow. We would be happy to provide all necessary arrangements and supports for the incoming doctoral symposium. So thank you all for your patience. I wish to all young researchers and authors a very bright research career ahead. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing the audience and enlightening them with your vision. Professor Giancarlo Fortino, University of Calabria, Italy, Distinguished Speaker, DoSCI 2023. Due to some network issues, he is unable to join us, but he has sent his best wishes for the symposium. Now, I welcome Professor Vandana Sehgal, Director, IET Lucknow.
Good morning, everybody. I am honored to be part of this doctoral symposium on computational intelligence, which is with association with the University of Calabria, Italy. And on this, I see this esteemed kind of gathering here today. I pay my, utmost humble respects to Professor S.K. Mishra, Professor Oscar Castellano from Mexico, Professor Portiano, Professor Y.N. Singh, who's heading the CSED, then Professor Vineet Kansal, who's the General Chair of the DSOSI, Professor Abhishek Swaroop, who's the Symposium Chair, and of course the conveners, Dr. Khanna and Dr. Gupta. It's indeed really a pleasure that, such a, beautiful and such a, I think we need this kind of gatherings more and more. And I was hearing all of you, and you talked about how computational intelligence is being used all over the world. We are in this new world now. I'm an architect by profession, and I was taught in my college, to be more, we were more into creative kind of exercises. We were more doing work with hand. And only when I came into teaching that I learned to use computer for drafting from my students itself, And now when I'm almost finishing my career, we are in this world where architecture and planning is incomplete, absolutely incomplete, I would say, without the computational intelligence that is the technology that is prevalent today in the world. The world today cannot move without the help of this kind of system that are, and it has become almost mandatory for us also to be part of this knowledge system. And one is almost incomplete without it, I would say. I think not only as professionals, but as human beings also, we are kind of dependent on it in a very, very big way. But coming to the professional field, I see that the urban planners are using it in a very big way. Our smart city concepts, which has been brought up by our Honorable Prime Minister, which has been going on, and we are converting our cities into smart cities partially to begin with. And I am part of that project in Lucknow. And I see that how we are kind of getting all the, to even suggest some planning interventions. We are using computational techniques. And besides that, we are using computational techniques to make it smarter, to make it more accessible, to make it more resilient, to make it more, user worthy, And apart from this, as Dr. Singh was just telling us, that we are using it in waste management, in agriculture, currently we are doing in Faculty of Architecture, we are doing a project with the Belgian government, in which we are heat mapping the Ayodhya city, and now we are doing a project with TERI, in which we are kind of mapping the waste management techniques and doing a project for them. So all of them, yesterday we had a meeting and we were talking of this dashboard which needs to, upgrade, and it is a live thing, and how that informs us that what action we should take, and we are kind of incomplete and totally, without this, we are living in this age of computers. And I think I used to say that previously we used to say that we cannot live without doctors. Yeah, that is still, true, but I think we cannot live without computer engineers now. And I think it's a great event that we all have got together here, and we are discussing researches which are prevalent from all over the spectrum of knowledge. And as the head of Institute of Engineering and Technology, I welcome all of you in this great endeavor. I heard that there are over 20 countries across the globe who are participating in it, that all the proceedings of this will be published by the Springer. I congratulate the organizers, the conveners, and all the participants. My best wishes for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful words. Professor Oscar Castillo holds a Doctor in Science degree in Computer Science from the Polish Academy of Sciences. He is a professor of Computer Science in the Graduate Division, Tijuana Institute of Technology, Tijuana, Mexico. In addition, he is serving as Research Director of Computer Science and Head of the Research Group on Hybrid Fuzzy Intelligence System. Currently, he is President of HAFSA and past President of IFSA, International Fuzzy System Association. Professor Castillo is also chair of the Mexican chapter of the Computational Intelligence Society, IEEE. He also belongs to the Technical Committee on Fuzzy Systems of IEEE and to the Task Force on Extension of Type 1 Fuzzy Systems. He is also a member of NAF IPS, IFSA, and IEEE. He belongs to the Mexican Research System, SNI Level 3. His research interests are in Type 2 fuzzy logics, fuzzy control, neurofuzzy, and genetic fuzzy hybrid approaches. He has published over 300 journal papers, 10 authored books, 40 edited books, 200 papers in conference proceedings, and more than 300 chapters in edited books, and 910 published according to Scopus. H-index equals to 63 and more than 1,050 publications according to ResearchGate. Finally, he has been elected IFSA Fellow in 2015 and MICAI Fellow Member in 2017. He has been recognized as highly cited research in 2017 and 18 by the Claritative Analyst because of having multiple highly cited papers in Web of Science. Due to his prior commitments, he is unable to join with us.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. Parul Yadav ma'am to introduce our chief guest of the day, Professor S.K. Mishra sir, Distinguished Visiting Professor, Gangwal School of Medical Science and Technology, Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur.
Oh, thank you, Mayan. On behalf of IIT Lucknow, and associating partners, I feel honored and privileged to welcome Professor S.K. Mishra sir as chief guest in the 4th Doctoral Symposium on Computational Intelligence in 2023. Professor Mishra is working as a distinguished visiting professor at the School of Medical Science and Technology at IIT Kanpur. And it is one of its kind institution in the country, and it is setting up the medical school to complete medtech system at IIT Kanpur. Which is working to recognize ways of improving and extending lives of effective humans, like developing a high quality and affordable artificial hearts, we can say. And his area of interest includes endocrine surgery and telemedicines and digital health. He has established an academic department of endocrine surgery and a school of telemedicine, both first of its kind in the country. He is fellow of National Academy of Medical Science. He is fellow of American College of Surgeons. He has been conducted several international development agency consultant in telemedicines like WHO, ITO, WB in the field of telemedicines. He has delivered several invited talks and orations in both national and international platforms. He has published around 230 PubMed index publications in endocrine and breast surgery and telemedicines. He has 3 decades of clinical teaching and research experience in the field of endocrine surgery in leadership positions. He has 2 decades of research development deployment experience in telemedicines and digital health technology and applications. Sir, we all are eagerly waiting to hear your talk. So I invite you for your address to the gathering, and our gathering is actually comprising of UG and PG students, research scholars, young aspirants, faculty members, and many more. So, sir, this is, we are waiting for your address. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Parul. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm speaking in the computer audio. Maybe it will not be so clear. Let me know. First of all, I thanks IET principal and director and all the organizers of this event and all other institutions affiliated to this event for inviting me. I'm an odd man, I think, among the group of the engineers, but nonetheless, today we cannot live in isolated world. We need to join hands. And today I'll just share some of my experience in the last 2 decades of my involvement with IT networks and communications, bringing the health into the forefront of healthcare. So first of all, I must give my regards to all the honorable professors and scientists who are here at this event, and my dear student and research scholars. And I find really interesting of this event because being an academic institution, I realize how important it is to have interactions with the students and fellow colleagues in your area of work. Here, the only drawback we felt that we don't have any physical presence, so that would have given more opportunity for more interactions. So I think what Professor Singh has mentioned that they're planning for the future for physical event, that will be more very, very fruitful. So I will just introduce a little bit of my role now in IIT. You might have heard that I'm from IIT. So I am in IIT in a specific purpose. I finished my surgical career and academic career in AGPJ Lucknow in the year 2021. So I was asked to help IIT Kanpur to help them to set up a center of excellence in telemedicine and healthcare robotics. Besides, there are other center of excellences are there around 11 in number. Some of them are very relevant for today's topic, like clinical AI and also non-invasive medical imaging, etc., where there's a lot of AI component is there for automated diagnosis. This school that Parul has referred is very unique of its kind, where the technological institutes are setting up hospitals. This is not the first of its kind. The first was in IIT Kharagpur. They have not yet launched any MBBS courses. Then came the IIT Kanpur. The IIT Kanpur concept is again replicated in IIC in Bangalore. They are also setting up a super specialty hospital, converging with technology. And some more are also going to come. This idea may be new for India, but this is working abroad for many years now. Talk of MIT and Harvard or any other institutes in UK also, there are many such institutes. We need to join hands. So I'll just give some of the examples how it is important for health sector. My presentation will be totally sharing my thoughts, some of the work I have done, and what is the future of converging engineers with the doctors and also the other fields of science. So next to the point I like to discuss is how important it is to think about bringing in some of the technology. What my previous speakers have already said in the healthcare is not only the IT started for this computational intelligence itself topic. It's not new actually. It's quite old as far as I understand this. But now today we are carrying an intelligent computer in our pocket. That is a mobile phone, which is going to be very, very powerful in the coming years. And the recent thing that we have come up is the technology tool is the ChatGPT, and corporate war going on between two big companies. So this is the future. This is going to happen, and we have to live with it and choose what is required for us, and we should use it. Now I'd like to say that I'm a trained as a surgeon. I've been practicing surgery for more than 3 decades. And I realized this technology's requirement when I was sometime going through 1999, and I saw that some technology went to the France. how video conference is going to connect the teachers with the students. So that's my starting point coming into the technology of IT and network. So that time I established some of the programs in SGPJ Lucknow. So where I conducted the telesurgery symposium in the 1999. Those days you do not have such kind of fast network like now you use for the national knowledge network, high-speed internet, but you use the so-called ISDN. And some of these old technologies like the PSTN also I experimented in telemedicine using very small window like a Yahoo Net meeting in initial experiments with the rural areas for telemedicine. So that was the journey I had since 1999. And I see how this technology has been changed to so much. Now, everything we talk about our life, not only medicine, health, same thing Madam has told about the smart city, etc. We are also involved in the smart city, in the smart telemedicine. So this is part of our day-to-day life, wherever, whichever service area you go or whichever area you look at it. Now, I felt the need for addressing some of the issues that is being currently talked about in the health and how it is going to make the healthcare scenario totally different in the coming years and how it's important for us to accept some of those. And ma'am has said that we cannot live without doctors. Certainly, we have to live with the doctors, but not with the doctors with a lack of knowledge and not adapting technology. That is very important. Doctor may be having less knowledge, but should have an assistant with that, like you have the intelligent systems with them to help them to make a decision or diagnosis. So coming to the domain of the computational intelligence, I raised the relevance when I was asked chair a committee in the hospital at SGPJ and look at the enormous amount of data, how to really archive data and do analysis. That is my first point of interaction that we call today as big data. And it is now thought about that the big data is going to play a very big role in the health sector. But I heard some of the paper in the year 2020 that it is estimated that the potential of health data is going to reach the 2,314 exabytes by 2020. As you all know, the traditional data analysis techniques are unsuitable to extract useful information for such vast amount of data to make some impression or decision making in the healthcare and public health especially. So that's not possible without the help of the tools that we are talking about, machine learning, all these things have been talked about now. So now we have to depend on the technology in addition to the human expertise and the computational models in creating disease models. It's very modern nowadays because in the medical research, we need to do experiments in the animals or in the human beings, clinical trials. Now the thing is going for totally digital twins. We can make a digital twin of a particular disease, or even you can hospital, IT also can make a digital twin of its own. So like your avatar. So digital twins is a concept that is coming up. It's basically based on this kind of simulation. You can make a mathematical models of a particular disease, and you can also do some experiment and get out of this impression. Last COVID, IIT contributed in predicting the trend of the COVID. So that examples how it is really helping us in public health. Now I would like to introduce you to all the ongoing activities going on in making the health system more intelligent. Today we are talking of the not a computational intelligence, the intelligent systems. Now it has gone beyond that. We are making systems. Your day-to-day, your service areas are becoming intelligent. Like ma'am already said about smart city, your entire traffic system, entire security, even the smart home care, everything is dependent on totally on the technologies. And driving factor is the internet. And it's going to be more powerful with the 5G, already is in the city, our city, and the 6G may come anytime now. So these are the driving force to make the systems intelligent. Now coming to the people might say that with so much of system coming in, you don't need doctors. Like in a few years back in the Times magazine, there is a front page coverage. Do we need radiologists? You might have heard about that. That the radiologists are not required because the images are based on the pattern recognition. So repetitive phenomenon, you can jolly well make a diagnosis. No, that's not true. Technology can never replace doctors. Never replacing doctors. Let me just remind you again and again how much you may be enthusiastic with the technological achievement, but human beings, human intelligence cannot replace that. Today we talk about robot surgery, telesurgery. You cannot replace surgery. It will become an assisted surgery. It's a robotic assisted surgery. That is very important for us as engineers to understand. So we have to make systems which are intelligent, but at the same time should interact with the doctors. The strength of decision support is very important. For example, all the doctors cannot be skillful. Now, so many medical colleges are opening up. You don't expect all of them can be trained fully. So we need systems that are intelligent to support these doctors to make a decision based on the diagnostic images, diagnostic tests. Those things have advanced nowadays. So they can get all the inputs and the systems can help the doctors to make a decision and treat the patients. Now the systems are available where it's an operation also in the hospitals, so that the safety of the patients are taken care of by good decision making. Another thing might require is in the health sector, like images for pathology or radiology, there's something called dermatology. Like the skin lesion, you have something, your patch. So what is that patch? So this can be very well be interpreted by the machine. So doctor can really apply that knowledge to existing knowledge and make a proper diagnosis. I'll give you some of the examples in a very bullet points. With a sort of time, I can describe all those things. You might have been hearing nowadays about the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Our Honorable Prime Minister also has made that kind of statements, and he's trying to make people skillful for the facing Industry 4.0. I'll only focus on the Industry 4.0 applicable to the health. We call it Health 4.0. So in that, what's happening is the entire thing is now driven across all those technologies that are coming up. Whether you're talking of the 5G technologies coming up, network systems, cyber cloud computing, and you've got some technology like coming up, tactile internet, where the haptic come into picture. Currently, the robot, if I do operation remotely, I just give the order, and like a slave, the robotic hands operate. Nowadays, this robots are coming up where they become more intelligent robots. So they are giving feedback to the doctors. So doctors, surgeons giving feedback to the instrument, of course, that is there. Now the instrument, the robotic hands is giving a haptic touch and telling the surgeons, oh, this is this. This is not there many years ago. The robot is there in the market for many years ago. Now this is coming up called intelligent robot. But the haptics technologies, haptic is an old technology, but this is now integrated with the robotics. Now robotics are becoming humanized robot. They can feel and tell the surgeons, oh, what you are touching it is a blood vessel, it's a tumor, like that. So these are the examples of how the intelligent systems are built in your system without your knowledge. So now there is a convergence of the IT, biology, and physics. All this you know very well how this trade is in the future. Actually, we have something called federated learning. It's very much useful in a telemedicine environment. Again, I'm not going to expand further. These are all very known topics to all of you. Now we can have a predictive medicine. Your decision support, as I said, one can assess when the patient can be shifted to the ICU. Patient may be there in the surgical ward, but at a certain point of time, it becomes sick, patient deteriorates. They need to be shifted to the ICU so that timely intervention is given to critical care. So that is also possible nowadays with the intelligent systems around you. Now we have also intelligent tools which can be used to assist surgeons in not only surgery, but in all interventional procedures. We also heard about the virtual healthcare. So this virtual healthcare is basically going to screen out some of these day-to-day mundane health problems and can be addressing that. You might have seen many of the cures coming in. Automatically, they can give you some feedback that you are having hypertension, you are having some problems. You can meet a doctor. Your sugars are getting measured, they'll automatically tell you this problem. You might have heard about CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. They're putting a patch under your skin. Excuse me. The silicon chips. This is already being used. So your sugar is getting monitored and coming into mobile phone, and there are alerts there. These are intelligent systems that is day in and day out in your life. You might not have realized that actually. All of you are using your WhatsApp and other things. Several intelligent systems are inbuilt without our knowledge. Of course, they steal many of our things. There are not ethical issues. I'm not addressing those things. There's big areas, and where there are new technology, there are security and ethical issues are built in that. So with that little my experience sharing with you, I just request all of you to collaborate with the medical doctors and whoever nearby, like in IIT, we can join hands with SGPGI and set up examples where each and every medical problems has been supported by the engineers like all of you. Technology is coming, and we have to tell the doctors this is the way we can use the technology for betterment of your health service. So thank you very much again for inviting.
Thank you so much, sir. Your talk is really informative and knowledgeable for highlighting how IT and health system can work together. You open new dimensions for research for all young aspirants that have joined this conference. And you highlighted that applications not only in architecture, but like in dermatology section and surgery assistant tool, like using robotics. And some interesting point out like how doctor and robotic surgeon can work together in OT or in consultation field. And it's very interesting to know that the intelligent device can suggest us when we can shift a patient to ICU. So these are very interesting, knowledgeable and motivational applications where the IT and healthcare systems can work together. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time, address, and the knowledge that you shared over here and your experience. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, I take this opportunity to call upon Dr. Deepak Gupta, Joint Convener, DoSCI 2023, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. It is an honor for me to give vote of thanks. DoSCI 2023 have received more than 400 papers, and after a peer review process, we are able to accept only 75 papers with an acceptance rate of 19%. DoSCI 2023 have submissions from 20 countries, which makes it a truly international symposium. On behalf of organizing committee of Doctorate Symposium on Computational Intelligence, DoSCI 2023, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the governing management, faculties, staff, and students of organizing institutes, Institute of Engineering and Technology, our Constitute Institute of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, University of Calabria, Italy, and Bhagwan Parshuram Institute of Technology, the keynote speakers from US, Italy, France, Mexico, and Turkey, our panelists, delegates, session chairs, paper presenters, and participants of these countries from 20 countries. The presence of our esteemed delegate, Professor S.K. Mishra, sir, a chief guest of DoSCI, and distinguished visiting professor, IIT Kanpur. Guest of honor, Professor Oscar Castillo, Tijuana Institute of Technology, Mexico. Professor Vandana Sehgal, Director, IET. Professor Vineet Kansal, General Chair and Professor, IET. Professor Y.N. Singh, HOD, CSE Department, IET. And Professor Giancarlo Fortino, General Chair from University of Calabria, Italy. Professor D.S. Yadav and Professor Abhishek Sarup during the conference is a further testimony to our sincere pursuit to achieve nothing less than the best, who have long trail of success behind them. I would like to thank our keynote speakers, Dr. Utku Kosh from Süleyman Demirel University, Turkey, Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh from University of France. We are grateful to them for accepting the invitation to take part in DoSCI 2023 and share their expertise and knowledge on the topic with the participant of this symposium. I would like to thank our sponsors, student volunteers, reviewers, authors, and publication partner for their constant support in organizing this symposium. My sincere thanks goes to Dr. Parul Yadav and Dr. Upendra Upadhyay from IIT Lucknow and Mr. Mulchand from MATE. Without them, this symposium would not be possible. At last, I would like to thank our student volunteers for smoother conduction of the symposium in online mode. Now I am happy to announce that this Doctor Symposium is a grand success. It is an honor for me to thank all the participants of DoSCI 2023. Thank you so much. Over to Ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for delivering the vote of thanks. With this, we will be moving ahead with our keynote speeches. We have with us our keynote speaker who will be enlightening the audience, Dr. Utku Koç, Süleyman Demirel University, Turkey. Dr. Utku Koç received the BS degree in 2008 from Computer Education of Gazi University, Turkey as a faculty valedictorian. He received MS degree in 2010 from ASEAN Kocatepe University, Turkey. In the field of computer and DS PhD degree in 2017 from Selçuk University, Turkey, in the field of computer engineering. Between 2009 and 2011, he has worked as a research assistant in Afyon Kocatepe University. Following, he has also worked as a lecturer and vocational school vice director in Afyon Kocatepe University between 2011 and 2012. As a lecturer and a research center director in USAC University between 2012 and 2017, and as an assistant professor in Suleiman Demirel University between 2017 and 2019. Currently, he is an associate professor in Suleiman Demirel University, Turkey. He has more than 100 publications, including articles, authored and edited books, proceedings, and reports. He is also one of the series editors of Biomedical and Robotics Healthcare series by CRC Press. His research interests include artificial intelligence, machine ethics, artificial intelligence safety, optimization, the chaos theory, distance education, e-learning, computer education, and computer science. I invite you, sir.
Thank you very much, dear Mayan. I hope you can be hearing me well enough. Good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to my session and welcome to such a valuable event of the DoSCI 2023. I'd like to thank to my friends, colleagues, dear Dr. Deepak Gupta and Dr. Ashish Khanna for their kind invitation for me to hold such a keynote speech at a valuable event. And I'd like to send my all thanks to dear valuable professors realizing their valuable keynote speech and contributions in the DoSCI 2023. And eventually, I would like to also thank to all dear friends and dear valuable staff, dear students, and everybody who is having great efforts to realizing the DoSCI 2023. Yes, so in order to use our time more efficiently, dear friends, I'd like to share my screen immediately. So I hope you will enjoy my session, which is based on the future of cybersecurity with artificial intelligence. I hope that will be a very nice topic here for the audience, for especially when we think about that our event is based on that doctoral symposium, which is having great the opening, the potential for the opening minds for everybody who will be thinking about what to realize in the context of the future time period when we think about the intense advancements in terms of the technological world, as you know, dear friends, and as you know, the AI on the other side, or the cybersecurity, or maybe IoT, or maybe many other upcoming technological occurrences are critical at this point. So it is just that's the very important to be talking about all of them. And I'd like to kindly just take your attention to the cybersecurity and its future when we consider the artificial intelligence. Okay, let me to also start my presentation. Okay. I'd like to also send my thanks to all contributing institutions worldwide, dear friends. You are all having a great chance to have the most recent knowledge from the experts around the world. And I'd like to thank again for realizing such a valuable event, and looking forward to being a part in the upcoming events, of course, dear friends. And so let me to express the presentation content. Of course, I will be talking briefly about what is the cybersecurity. I will just ensure a brief introduction to the concept of the cybersecurity. And after that, as you know, the cyber world and even cyber wars are just very critical topics here when we consider even the present state of the world, and when we consider the upcoming many advancements in terms of the computational background, computational tools. We need to be thinking about the future of the cyber world. So first of all, we need to be making a definition for the concept of the cyber world, of course, dear friends. And I'd like to make a connection with the AI, artificial intelligence, and with the future perspectives, and talking about open problems, and giving some ideas or references to some of the suggested sources. I will be finalizing my presentation, and I will be taking your questions at the end. So, dear friends, dear Mayan just made a kind introduction for me. So I'm passing here. I'd like to just say that you are all welcome to visit my academic profiles as well as my personal website to be getting more information about my up-to-date research activities. So you are all welcome to visit my profiles in this manner. So, of course, you are all welcome to visit Turkey. I'm located here currently, as you can see, in the city of the Sparta. My hometown is the Afyon. As you know, in the last a few weeks ago, we had a terrible earthquake disaster in around that eastern side of Turkey. So, as the country, we are trying to be solving our problems in this manner. We are still in the emergency state, so what Turkey is still in, that's the context of the especially all regions. As you can see, it's a beautiful city with all of the cities, so you are all welcome to visit our country. Always, dear friends, you are welcome to visit my institution, Süleyman Demirel University, which is located in the city of Sparta with a region of the lakes. We are famous with the roses and also some green areas. And we have even a town which is called as Eğirdir. It is something like an island, as you can see. So you are all welcome to visit my current city, especially, dear friends. And my hometown, Afyonkarahisar, in the longer term, is the starting point of the independence war of Turkey. So there's a big historical castle in the middle of the city. So if you would like to see some places, historical places in the middle of the Turkey, so you are all welcome to visit my hometown also. And I'd like to give us a brief information about my university as well as my department, dear friends. As you can see, the rose is already appearing in the logo of our university. Süleyman Demirel University is a public university located in the city of Sparta. For around 3 to 4 years or 5 years, around 5 years, we also have been another university in the city of Sparta. But the first public university in the city of Sparta is Süleyman Demirel University. We have around 70,000 students, and our institution is known as a large academic institution in Turkey. We are famous with the agricultural research, medicine, engineering, and business sciences here. And of course, you are all welcome to visit our university and especially our department of computer engineering. We host 3 professors, 3 associate professors, I'm one of them, and 7 assistant professors with the 2 research assistants working in 3 different areas of computer science, computer software, and computer hardware. And we host, of course, the Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, and PhD degrees to go. And you are all welcome to visit our and to come and realize your even degrees in terms of the computer science and engineering. Always we have lots of international students coming from different regions of the world, and so you are all welcome to visit our department as well as our university in the future upcoming time periods. Okay. So I just made a fast introduction, dear friends, in order to be passing to the exact topic here in my keynote speech at this point. And first of all, we already know that how to define or how to just say something about when we talk or ask about what is the concept of the cybersecurity's meaning at this point. And what is cyber? The answer is that question is coming from the cybernetics, of course, dear friends. Robert Weinert, just the pioneer in the past time period in around the 1940s during the 20th century, who coined that term of the cybernetics. And also there are some other people, of course, who have been enrolled in the research regarding the cybernetics. And it is already used by Gibson in the novel of the Neuromancer, as you may already know, dear friends. And for defining anything related to the virtual world, we just get the cyber, the term of the cyber, to use that as an adjective, maybe, to define something related to the virtual environment or virtual world. So when we think about or say something about the cyber world exactly, we talk about somewhere, some places, which is in terms of the virtual environment in an abstract manner. And cyberspace is also is something similar to that. Maybe cyberspace, maybe all used for the that's the defensive or the war-oriented topics, maybe, dear friends. Maybe according to the cyber world, the cyberspace, the term of cyberspace is something more just taking the level of that's or having some level of the technical manner on the background, maybe, dear friends. But cyber world, cyberspace, cyber environment are all going towards the similar way when we think about the current, present, and the future world state, of course. And when we combine the term of the security with the cyber, we mean that it is it's a security belonging to the digital systems. And we consider both hardware and software side, of course, and it is all related to the both dark and light side, because we know that there is cyber pirates, as you know, and there are some also the ethical hackers like Jedis and Siths in the Star Wars, as you know. And also there may be some gray Jedis like the gray hackers at this point. So it is just all something like an competition between the dark and the light side along all the time periods at the start of the first things regarding to that, the cyber security. And so when we think about the term of hacking, for example, we always think something about coming from the dark side, of course, something malicious or something that meaning in terms of the cyber attacking, for example. But the hacking itself is actually not always belonging to the cyber environment. If you, for example, cheat during the exams, you actually make some hacking. Or if you want somebody you know to solve some problems in somewhere, some places, you just take some rows and take some advantages according to other people. So it's somehow something belonging to an hacking, in order to keep something in your minds in longer term. You just read something, you just coin or define some shorter things to, or some create some visual abstract things in your mind to keep that's all of the explanations or something you read or studying in your mind. So you are just making some hacking. But at this point, when we think about the current technological world with the cyber environment, cyber tools, we just think that the hacking is just related to the cyber environment, cyber tools, but it is not always meaning to having just an ethical or maybe malicious manner. It is all about the intentions or aims, dear friends. If you think about something malicious, stealing some information, having some fun, or maybe damaging some hardware or software systems in the targets, it is all belonging to a dark side. And of course, if you think about the ethical side, it is belonging to the light side. So ethical hackers, white hat hackers, except from the black hat hackers, these are all belonging to the ethical and the legal side of the cyber security. So it is all another topic, of course, another topic to be discussing. So when we consider the cyber security scope again, it's all, we know that's an unstable area. It is all an evolving area for now, for even for the future. And for the present and future, we know that the evolutions in terms of the cyber security is just all affected by the intensive technological advancements at this point during this time period. So we should be all thinking about the combination of the different technological tools or advancements, which is triggering the future and the present and the future of the that's the scope of the cyber security. So when we think about in detail some of the factors affecting the cyber security, we know that there is the physical side in terms of the hardware. There is the abstract side, which mean just the meaning or corresponding to the software side. As you know, the way of that making the hardware working effectively is just all associated with them. True use of that or the correct usage of the software systems on the background. Without software systems, the hardware tools are not so meaning anymore in terms of an effective or efficient solution tools, dear friends. So always when we think about the cyber security, we should be always thinking about both hardware and the software side. And of course, when we consider the information coming from the real world, the physical world, we store them in terms of the digital tools, digital systems. We know that already we just all interacting with the web environments, with some web tools in terms of social media, social interactions, in terms of just solving our tasks in terms of the paying some bills or maybe tracking something in terms of the or associated with our maybe health state or maybe our just other information belonging to us during the real life, dear friends. We just have been already using the data, which is the abstract version of the information. So in terms of the cyber security, of course, data has a great value for just determining the level of the cyber security. So just proving that's about how that the cyber security is very critical for especially us during that's the brave new world and the future world maybe. Okay. So of course, because all of these things are the products by the humanity, by the humans, we need to be thinking that all the reasons and that's the results just all affected or associated with the humans, dear friends. So human at this point is the most sensitive factor among all that's the different factors affecting the cyber security. So because of that, there is the social engineering. As you know, there are many things which are triggering to manipulating us along different channels like communication channels or during even the physical world, of course, dear friends. So because the human actually has somehow some disadvantage in terms of the having a sensitive level of the affected by environmental factors, because we have emotions, because we have lots of things to give some value or to protect maybe from the environmental factors. We are also as known as the sensitive factor in terms of the literature of the cyber security. So at this point, as I said before, there is the ethical and the white hat side of cyber security, and also there is the aggressive, unethical or black side of cyber security. So when we think about the defensive and the aggressive sides, always we need to be knowing that all of these different factors, the defensive side and also aggressive sides, should be considered all together to be defining to the present and the future state of the cyber security. Without thinking about the defensive, the aggressive things or attacking sides is not just having a true meaning at the point of the cyber security, of course. So by combining all of these, the data and also hardware, software systems or other things, and especially the sensitive factor human side, we should be always thinking about that the defensive and aggressive sides of the cyber security. So the collection of all of these factors are shaping both defensive and aggressive sides of cyber security. Okay. So here, as I've said before, the cyber world is a virtual world employing interdigital systems based on the communication. So because of that, we use the term of the informatics, which is just combining the not only computer-based systems, but also taking a look at to the communication systems like internet or other things to be defining a new term of the informatics. So as you know, the present and the future world is just all rising over the shoulders of that, the informatics tools. So especially in the last periods, coming from the last periods of the 20th century, we now during the 2020s, we feel that there's an intensive critical contributions of that the informatics tools to be shaping, especially belonging to that digital transformation, especially it is affecting the way of the companies in terms of just a matter of life and death, as you know, dear friends. So it is all critical, not only, of course, for the companies or just the such firms, dear friends. It's all effective and important for us as the citizens of the world, as you know. So the digital transformation has a critical point here for the shaping of that the present and the future state of the cyber world. And of course, the social media having a great place to be ensuring the interaction among the people. So the digital transformation may be all affected by the social media influence of the social media. So when we think about the tools, the e-technologies are shaping the present and the future world. And of course, all of these tools are having some data processing aspects on the background. So the data processing aspects are somehow the results or products by the humanity, as you know, because there is the human at this point. Actually, all of these things are belonging to the human, but the data processing aspects, all the algorithms or other things are all produced by the human with the technological components, which is already produced by the human. We need to be considering some bugs, some disadvantage, some malicious or maybe some vulnerabilities, malicious factors or just vulnerabilities which are just manipulated by the malicious intentions by the dark side. Especially, we should be considering more and more about the cyber world and the future states, which will be just affecting our maybe practical life, daily life. So because as long as our future world will be more connected with the cyber world, we should be all considering a new operation zone, which is called as the fifth operation zone nowadays. As you know, when we think about the wars, unfortunately, the wars is maybe very just dangerous and unfortunately a bad thing associated with the humanity, dear friends. The wars are held or just done in terms of land as the one operation zone. The air is another zone. The navy, the seas, the navy is another zone. As you know, there is the space. Not for now, maybe we see lots of wars or some wars which is held in terms of the like a science fiction movie when we think about the space, but there's somehow Cold War, maybe some competitions among different countries like USA, like European countries, or even China or India. As you know, dear friends, there are lots of satellites. The countries are trying to have some advantage with the communication cycle in terms of space. This is somehow some competition, maybe not at the level of the Cold War, but the future may be all associated with somehow some more dangerous things in terms of the space, as long as the humanity unfortunately has such bad intentions in terms of the creating the war at this point. So in addition to all of these, the 4 different operation zones, the new operation zone is just called as the cyber world. So at this point, starting from this point, we just reached to the term of the cyber world, which is connected with the cyber world, dear friends. So the cyber world is actually not something like you are trying to hacking the computer belonging to your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. Actually, dear friends, it is not something between two people in terms of the out of the and general just the usage of the traditional usage of the computer systems, for example. It is all between countries. So in order to use the term of the cyber wars, you should be having more than somebody like your ex-girl or boyfriend, or somebody you are just trying to manipulate or apply some malicious things, maybe for even some funny objectives. So it should be between the countries. So even in present time, as you know, there are many hackers or cyber pirates, or just we can be say that the cyber hackers, who are just trying to attacking and manipulating the critical infrastructure tools or cyber background, cyber tools, which is just belonging to a strategical the infrastructure of a country. So the cyber world is just all between countries. According to conventional wars, it is at light speed. Of course, it is having low cost. When we think about the conventional wars, you just spend less money. At least, of course, there are lots of computational resources to do exact cyber wars, of course, but it is still less, requiring less money when you think about the warships and fighters, jet fighters, or tanks, or other things, as you know, dear friends. So it is still having a low cost when we think about the conventional wars. And it's having more destructive results. Of course, the physical world, the conventional wars, just maybe having just many effects at the end, physical effects at the end. But if you use computational cyber security oriented tools or cyber tools effectively, you may be even having or causing a country to be totally being in a passive mode when you attack or disable some critical infrastructure and causing some problems like having no electricity, having no connection to the healthcare services, or other things are very critical, as you know. So in time, it's maybe causing them more and more destructive results. So of course, that's the cyber wars at this point has a very critical influence when we think about that. That's the concept of that feature. And diversity in the results are more when we think about the conventional wars, and it is multidimensional. It's undetectable. For example, when you think about the physical wars or conventional wars, you see the guns, you see the effects, the results. But cyber wars may be on the background, so you may be, as long as it is also at light speed, of course, you may be seeing the results only, not the active period, maybe. So it is having such feature, and it's all abstract when we think about all the exact war-oriented activities in the cyber world. So according to that's the conventional or physical wars, it is in terms of it maybe it's called as an abstract manner. But of course, its results may be in that or not maybe will be totally affecting the physical world at the end. Okay. So when we think about the AI side, as you know, the AI, the artificial intelligence, is all connected with everything in today, from the healthcare services to everything, to transportation, to every data processing oriented activities, as you know. So it will be all connected with the cyber wars in the future, maybe in the near future, or maybe in present time. We may be thinking about there are lots of research on the background, which is just in the intersection of the cyber wars and AI. So as long as they are all belonging to somehow some privacy, belonging to nations, of course, we may be not hearing totally everything about such the research, but there are already some research, as you know, and we still should be thinking about the cyber wars as connected with the AI. So when we think about the very smart world, just consider that you are all surrounded by the sensors, IoT systems, IoT tools, and on the background, there will be the ambient intelligence, as you know. So the AI will be very critical for the shaping of the not only present time, but also future state of the cyber worlds. So the Internet of Things, wearables, sensors, unmanned vehicles, distributed computing, and as you know, the blockchain, IOTA, maybe another model of that, and distributed technologies, as you know, with rising over the tangle, and many things which is shaping the era of the big data and smart computing, and also grid computing, smart grid computing. There are lots of things to be coined with, etc. here are very critical to be shaping the brave smart world. And when we consider all of these things, we need to be thinking about AI, which is just shaping the future of the cyber worlds. Because cyber worlds, in terms of the nations, will be all affecting everything at this point when we think about the war between two or more countries, and maybe the war at this point is not will be something like between only two countries, and it's not the thing that we should be that yes, it is the start of the war and the end of the war. The cyber wars will be probably always with not starting point associated with not any starting point or ending point, maybe, dear friends, unfortunately, but they will be all affecting the many countries, nations at the same time, and many things which is in terms of the light speed. So at this point, when we think about the AI in problems of cybersecurity, we know that the direct usage of the AI for some predictive occurrences, like just predicting the cybersecurity risks in terms of your system or your company or your other things, may be all widely used, like just ensuring and predictive techniques like neural networks to use some data belonging to biomedical. Maybe you just gather some data from this time from the cybersecurity oriented problem modeling, your modeling belonging to the problem, and you may be using directly that the neural networks. Of course, in detail, there will be an RD at this point, but direct usage may be all effects for the cybersecurity solutions for the cybersecurity predictive or descriptive results at the end. Or you maybe ensure some supportive AI use with your already known traditional solutions. You maybe get some AI support for ensuring better time usage in terms of improving the effectiveness, maybe, dear friends. Okay, so you combine traditional methods with the AI-based systems to improve the cybersecurity solution scope. At this point, you may be using hybrid approach by combining more and more AI. At the same time, different AI systems are combined all together, like using image processing or data processing just before the deep learning or machine learning at this point. So it will be all associated, or it's all associated with the cybersecurity problems at this point. And even agent-based systems or approach may be used, because as long as the cybersecurity is all affecting the wider scope of the environment, you may be thinking about the present and future states by considering the robotic systems or some smart algorithms, which is just communicating to other agent-based systems to be shaping the general framework of the solutions for the creating a better synergy in terms of the cybersecurity aspects. So you still need to be thinking about machine learning, deep learning states like training, testing, application. You need to be thinking about the data, which types of data you will be used. So as long as we think about the big data, this is a big problem, of course, dear friends. And you need to be how to train your models. You need to how to model your problem, as long as the cybersecurity is something more belonging to many things at the same time, like a chaotic problem formation. Maybe sometimes you just think about in terms of the biomedical thing, you just think about some symptoms, some tests, some multimodal data, even at the latest stage, maybe. But when you reach to the cybersecurity, we may be thinking about everything, almost everything affected by the or connected, associated with the human activities or digital systems. So the modeling of the problem will be always another critical, that's the scope at this point, belonging to a research for the cybersecurity. Okay. And so when we think about which components to ensure here, we may be thinking about algorithmic actions, expert knowledge, cybersecurity-oriented expert knowledge, and some experiences to be shaping the artificial intelligence-based cybersecurity at the same time. So the future, when we think about the future perspectives, the cyberverse of the future will be carried by the AI-based systems rather than people. I've just wrote some articles in Turkey in some popular science magazines and also some journals at this point. I remember some international articles or papers in terms of that's the indicating that point, dear friends. So it's not only my idea, of course, it's a great idea, as you know. So in this context, people will only be in the role of the management or control at this point. And although we talk about the human management or control, it will be not wrong to predict that the cyberverse of the future will be over 95% of that autonomous here, entirely related to the AI decisions and action process. Of course, the physical worlds, the conventional worlds will be replaced by the advanced AI-based cyberverse. So that will be the reason will be for that one, the desire of the human being to leave the critical roles to responsibility of AI-based systems. We are always doing that nowadays, as you know. So the cyberverse replaces physical worlds because the existing infrastructures and many vital elements at this point will be related to cyber world. And not maybe will, are already related to cyber worlds, even for nowadays. And cyber wars will be much more destructive than the cyber wars today, and defensive cybersecurity will be more and more critical. And according to me, dear friends, there will be different roles for the AI-based systems. There will be commander systems. There will be soldier systems. The manipulator systems will be all manipulating the other AI-based systems, which will be in the defensive mode, for example. And worker systems will be all working on the background on the infrastructure to solve some the problems, maybe some results of the destructive things at this point. And the central AI may be all managing all of these things, like you are thinking about the Ministry of Defensive, dear friends. But in terms of the AI side, it will be all affecting the control of all of these the working mechanisms here. And all of these systems, of course, as long as we have the central AI maybe, but they will be all having a collective intelligence, not to be attacked by the central AI, which may be causing that the all systems to be broken down at this point. The collective intelligence will be probably all keeping all the systems at this point alive for a nation, for the cyber attack and defense background of the AI-based cyber war tools of a nation, for example. So this will be all just connected with the attacking and defensive actions by using all of these the tools or enabling these tools to be interacting among each other. That's to ensuring a general synergy at this point. And they will be maybe creating some hierarchical systems among them, and adaptive hierarchical systems during the light speed cyber war here, dear friends. And of course, they will be all using some cryptographic words and digital languages, because as you know, it is the critical point to ensure some encryption or decryption things during or in the context of the digital tools and cyber tools. So in order to not to all that's the AI-based attacking systems from another nation to be causing some problems inside your AI-based defensive systems, your own AI-based systems will be all enabling to creating their own light speeds or just adaptive digital languages which are changed at a light speed. So we may be just not tracking always. So all of these things may be beyond our human-based capabilities, of course, at this point, but probably the more autonomous level of the future of the cyberverse will be helped by the AI-based systems. The more synergies between all of these, the systems will be realizing in the future, the more their own cryptographic and the complicated digital languages, digital codes, or cryptology algorithms will be all critical in terms of the future cyber world. Okay, so I have just added more to finish, dear friends. Thanks for your patience. So I hope you enjoyed my keynote session at this point. There are some open problems to consider. You may be just considering these problems in your further research if you are interested already now in terms of the cyberverse or cybersecurity with AI, because it's an open area at this point, still having some open areas here, and will be probably having more and more open areas, because it will be all, or it is already connected with the AI-based systems, as you know, with the rising intensity of the IoT. They are all affecting the way of the different cybersecurity aspects from different tools. It is not like maybe AI used for a specific problem. The cybersecurity is all surrounding everything, including the AI itself and everything you are using. So there will be more and more open problems at this point. So we need to be considering that what data are needed for the developing autonomous cybersecurity systems. Or we may be thinking about, is it possible to develop a system sensitive to all cyber systems, which is sensing the general defensive and attacking levels of the that occurring to cybersecurity aspects. And we may be thinking about the cybersecurity in the context of the IoT and sensitive data, privacy of the personal data, thinking about GDPR, of course, at this point in terms of the European countries, or in terms of our Turkey side, we have the KVKK. In terms of Turkish, we just spell that something like that. So all nations, all regions around the world are considering and thinking more about the privacy of the personal or sensitive data. So these are all affecting the way of the cybersecurity and developing of the tools. We should be considering even cybersecurity. So it is something like a paradoxical research maybe in the future. And of course, the adversarial examples are all affecting the AI-based system. So it is all critical here. So it will be all affecting the way of the daily life activities, because AI is becoming more and more common thing during the daily life, as you know. So the adversarial example will be something like that. You go out of that physical world and you see somebody who is trying to manipulate you, trying to get some have some malicious intentions during the physical life. So everybody is going out or away of them, as you know. It is that something like a traditional thing, or you always, as the human, you always be aware of such people in every place. So in terms of the AI side, the adversarial example potential will be a very common thing to be solved, of course. Dear friends, encryption will be more and more critical. It's already very critical, as you know. Blockchain, distributed systems are all in terms of that cybersecurity aspects. Maybe we can be coin a new point here, like the distributed systems here. We should be considering at this point, of course. And safe data sharing, transforming systems, societal effects, problems in terms of the social side or the philosophical side are very critical, because when we think about the technical things, we eliminate the social or philosophical things. Or when we think about the social or philosophical things, we often eliminate or forget about the technical things. So the current brave world is just all requiring more and more synergy between the different fields, disciplines at this point, in terms of both multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary scope, of course. So it is also very critical for the future of the cyberverse with AI. Policies, organizations, and international rules will be, of course, all critical for the not only present but also future state of the cyberverse with the AI. Just consider and search for the adversarial examples. It's all affecting the way of your AI models, dear friends. In order to use time better, I'm passing this one. And defensive solutions against hybrid attacks may be critical. Advanced cryptography may be critical to search. Distributed cybersecurity, reinforcement learning will be more and more critical, according to me. Adjustments for the AI-based cyber wars, maybe rules, maybe some certain things to do, policies in terms of policies or other things, tasks will be very critical. Precautions and control and human errors or security of that, all of these affecting the data, even thinking about the big data will be always open problems in the future of the cyber wars with AI-based systems. So I may be sharing that document with you, dear friends. I don't know, you may be just sending me a mail, maybe after a while. Dear friends, I'm sharing my email address here, or I may be sharing the file if it is allowed. Yes, I will be sharing here, dear friends, after a few seconds later. And you are all welcome to take a look at such books or journals, of course, in terms of academic side. There are journals, as you know, and also some books which are including some cookbook mods, including some practical details and also including some theoretical things on the background. You should be combining all of these things in terms of thinking about the academic side and so also popular science side and also thinking about the theoretical side and also practical side. You need to be combining all of these things. And at the final, you may be searching for the keywords like cyber wars, future of cybersecurity, cybersecurity and AI, machine learning, deep learning, or autonomous cybersecurity. And I know some GitHub sources here. You may be searching for these. I don't know they are still available, but I think they are still available because I have just used these links a few weeks ago during one of my lectures in Turkey, dear friends. So I think they are still, they may be even having some updates during that time, a few weeks maybe not affecting their state, of course. So you may be visiting the GitHub sources to have some data sets, to have some already written codes, ready codes for some specific problems of cybersecurity, like classification of malicious or safe data communication, or clustering of some data flows in terms of the different protocols, for example. So these are all starting point to be combining the cybersecurity and machine learning or deep learning and understanding the way of the data and data sets. So this will be all enabling you to be ready for the future with the cyber wars, which will be highly or probably or maybe with a very high the potential, of course, to be connected with the AI-based systems for the world we are living on, dear friends. Okay. So thank you very much for listening, dear friends. You can, as dear Mayan mentioned, that in the chat box, you may be mentioning your questions here. Thanks for listening, and you are all welcome to visit my website again. You may be sending your mails to my Gmail account because my institutional account may be sometimes not receiving mails in time, or maybe someday maybe your mails can maybe caught in the spam folder. But you may be sending your mails to both of the mails, of course. I'm busy actually always, but I will be doing my best to return to you as soon as possible. Okay, thank you very much.
Is there any question?
By the
Sir,
way,
I
I
have
will
a
be also,
question.
yes,
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah,
sure,
sir,
please.
can you please explain more about firewall and more of its uses? We have that in cybersecurity and also
Yes.
on cryptography.
Yeah, as you know, the firewalls are very critical at ensuring the data security in terms of the present cyber tools we are widely using in our companies. As you know, dear friends, there are hardware and software versions of such systems, but of course, the hardware-based firewall systems are very critical here. But you still need to be ensuring a good setup and the good managing of the firewalls for present world. So They are just listening some packets. They are just running your rules and ensuring, of course, some encryption or decryption things to be running better and safer mods, listening mods sometimes. But when we combine with that's the AI-based scope, there will be probably more autonomous firewall systems in the future. Even today, there are some research works which are trying to connect the firewalls with AI-based background. And also you may search for example, firewalls and blockchain. For example, distributed use of the firewall hardware is also another remarkable topic to search, dear friends. And in the future, maybe even for present time, of course, not me maybe mention always future, but it's a good point to be having an open problem scope at this point for you, for all of you. You may be thinking about the encryption background, which is rising over the AI-based support for improving the current capabilities of the firewall hardware systems by manipulating or by not manipulating, maybe improving their capabilities already known hardware-based systems with some AI-based software backgrounds. Or you may be thinking about totally developing, designing and developing both software and hardware interacting new firewall systems at this point. For example, that may be the second one. The second option may be more difficult and maybe taking more time, even if you think about that around the world, there are lots of companies maybe which is working on this. But these will be all that's the critical points to go around at this point. When we think about eventually in terms of the encryption itself, the algorithm itself is not enough anymore, as you know. So because of that, we think about the blockchain or other distributed systems. They even still have the hash-based algorithms, for example, on the background, but we use the power of the communities. We use the power of the many users at the same time, so increasing the level of the not being just hacked because of the many users or many active objects who will be or which will be determining the state of the whole system. So the collaborative systems, such distributed systems with the maybe more and newer encryption algorithms with the support of the AI will be more and more critical. So you may be finding another way, maybe another third option maybe can be all applicable in this way. Okay, I hope that answer will be enough. Yeah. By the way, I already shared the presentation, dear friends.
Yes, sir. Sir, there is one more question from one of our speakers. Sir, how
Sure.
deep learning can contribute in cybersecurity?
So can you repeat just that there was a break in voice?
How deep learning can contribute in cybersecurity?
Deep learning. Okay. How deep learning can contribute to cybersecurity, even for present and the future scope here. When we think about the cybersecurity side, as you know, during my presentation, I mentioned that there are lots of data. There are lots of, not data maybe, there are lots of objects which is producing data in time, or which is already using some data in terms of social media, in terms of IoT-based systems. Even we are now holding an online mod session, and so the voices, the video records, the texts, the messages, and everything in terms of the data on the background are somehow products by such software system. And in terms of the smartwatch, smart devices, even thinking about the self-driving cars, in terms of even thinking about all of these things, objects are interacting each other or will be interacting more and more each other in the future. We need to be considering that better control for all of these data. So thinking about the traditional machine learning algorithms, they may be not enough. Maybe you may be thinking about hybrid formations of the many machine learning systems. You may be thinking about federated learning, for example, at this point. But the deep learning has the advantage of the, as you know, as long as it is requiring some high computational background on the infrastructure maybe, but the deep learning has enough capabilities in terms of the as we can understand from its name, to be deeply diving into the details of the data. So in this scope, in order to improve the accuracies, the success rates with a reasonable time period in terms of analyzing the data, training mode in terms of training mode, and producing some new results, the deep learning is already known, new, and maybe in the future the only option to use for the big data or more complicated data for the future of the cybersecurity. In time, we will be passing to the totally deep learning, and in time, we will be just using the smart tool, smart algorithm, instead of using the terms of considering the differences between the machine learning or deep learning. Even deep learning is a subtype of machine learning, as you know, dear friends. But after a while, there will be everything connected with the deep learning background. So the future will be all critical because of the advantages in terms of data processing and improved results. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable
You are
presence
welcome.
today. Thank you. Our next keynote of the day, Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh, University of Toulouse, France. Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh is an Associate Professor of Computer Science at INPT, ENSEEIHT, and an ACADIE team member at Toulouse Research Institute of Informatics, IRIT. Prior to joining INPT, he was a research fellow at the Center of Software Certification, McMaster University, Canada, and the Department of Computer Science at University of York, UK. In 2011, he received his PhD from the University of Lorraine, France. He leads research in the theory and practice of rigorous software engineering and formal methods for designing and implementing safe, secure, and dependable critical systems. He has authored, edited 3 books, and has published extensively in well-known conferences and journals. He has been involved in many scientific activities, and his research has been supported by the ANR and industry partners. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for a nice introduction, as well as I would like to thank all organization committee to inviting me here. Can I share my screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So today I'm going to present a formal approach to rigorous development of safety critical system. In fact, all of you know what kind of critical systems are. This is a collaborative work because I am working since more than 10 years on same topic. So it is just, I want to give a flavor to everyone to know how we should tackle all the critical system in future and what kind of new methodology do we need to develop. This is a joint work between myself as well as my mentors where I worked in past, especially Yamin Itemer, Laford, Tom Mybaum, Dr. Mary, and Alan Washington. They are expert in the different areas, and they have given time to time feedback to me on this work. This work is supported by Ontario Research Fund Canada and ANR Research Project Impacts and the Nexus project. I would be happy if you will get any question or anything doubt, please let me know. So outline of this talk is very simple. I will discuss first the safety critical systems. Then I will give you some motivation and some current challenges and the objective in this area. Finally, I have proposed a formal framework that it is still evolving. And I will discuss this formal framework in detail. I will show one case study and then assessment of this framework in different domain. And finally, I will conclude this talk. So what is critical system or safety critical system? So safety critical systems are very simple. It is a very one class of systems where ever failure will occur, then it may lead to serious injuries, loss of life, or economical damage, or environmental damage. Today we are living we have all around us different kind of safety critical system. For example, aeroplanes, robots, satellites, machineries, or even we use car or medical systems like insulin infusion pump or pacemaker. All these are safety critical systems. If, for example, if there is an accident, in case of accident in plane or maybe in car, it's always there are injuries, or maybe it's a loss of economical damage or the loss of life. So how we can design all these systems? We need to take care of all these things. So before going into jump all the details, I will try to show some very standard failure system. For example, Therac 25 in 1985 to 87, 6 people were overexposed due to radiations. The pacemaker in 1990 to 2002. I have tried to give in some details because this is it's valid for certain range. So for example, after 2002, still there are so many deaths just because of pacemaker. So 70,323 pacemakers and the ICD were explanted, and it includes 61 deaths. Insulin infusion pump until it is a report of 2010. 5,000 adverse event, and that include the 30 deaths. I think everyone know here, MH370 Malaysian airplane. It was missing and we don't know the cause. Why? We try to figure it out, but it is still impossible. Satellite failures. If I have just tried to give one website where you can find several list of satellites failure they have given, and we don't know the cause why this happened. Now, what is the current scenario in software development? For example, 50 years before, there was a software crisis. Still, we have the software crisis, and it is not over yet. We see there are some certain systems we can show that this is over, but it is not true for in the domain of cyber physical systems or in the domain of critical systems, or maybe for the security. If we talk about the security or the safety, still this is a problem. So the still crises are in stationary states. We have why this is a cause? Because we have a large number of complex applications. Every day we are getting new applications, new hardware systems, new requirements, and we don't know how to handle all of them. Formal techniques are not applicable. Maybe if some of you know already what is the formal method, this is also called clean software engineering approach. We can use it, but this is really expensive approach, and it is not very well integrated in software development lifecycle. There is a huge gap between your requirements when we collect the requirements from the systems and for the implementation. So there is a huge gap between two, and we don't know how to handle this. Still, we are looking for different kind of methodology. Day to day, we are designing new methods, new techniques, new languages, new compiler, new systems, and we don't know what we are doing. And now still we are looking for magic solution that can be solved very easily. Most of the time when we talk about safety critical system, certification is an important issue. If you cannot certify your device, it is useless. For example, in avionics systems or in medical systems, if your device is not certified, you cannot use it. Okay, you cannot use for public use. If you are using it, it's too dangerous, or it is for the small community or maybe poor countries. They, without certifying the devices, they use it, but this is completely forbidden. Based on these challenges or based on these present scenario, I try to figure it out myself that what we can do. So for it's my personal point of view, maybe if we can improve SDLC, software development lifecycle, or maybe we can introduce new methods and techniques that can enrich our existing software development lifecycle. And integration of formal methods. Can we integrate the formal methods in a standard software development lifecycle? For example, ISO 26262, this is a standard for developing and designing all kind of automotive systems. So these standards recommended that we should use, in part 10, it is recommended that we should use formal methods to avoid certain problems. DO 172B or DO 172C, this is the Avonic standard. So this standard is also recommend that we should use formal methods in our development life cycle. But due to complexity and to limitations, we are, especially industrial people, they don't want to use, or if they use only on certain parts of the system. They don't use in the whole life cycle. And this is really a challenge for us. So what are the current challenges and objectives? Is still, I have given the current challenges in my context, but still there are many challenges a part of these. For example, complexity. Day by day, complexity is increasing. All different kind of embedded systems, there are the system complexity is increasing due to heterogeneous nature of the systems. We need system and environment modeling. Whenever we design a system, especially safety critical, we take assumptions about the environment. We don't try to model an environment. And this is a cause that most of safety critical systems fail when we use in a real environment. For example, how to model, we need enhance the modeling approaches for managing the functional requirements and the perceived requirements. We need physical environment. For example, how can you model a differential equation in a systems, or how can you represent the environment? For example, if pacemaker we use in a heart for controlling the heart systems, so how it will behave whenever it will interact with the heart. We don't model, we take always the hypothesis, and this is a big problem. Okay, so we need to simulate it. Techniques and tools, we have not sufficient techniques and tools. For example, how to integrate the dynamics of the systems, time of the system, concurrency, and the large heterogeneous systems, when they have not the similar nature, what kind of techniques and tools we should use. There is a lack of formal methods, as I already pinpointed this very well, that we have not sufficient techniques and tools, especially in formal methods as well, that can be fit for everything. And at last, if we work in different domain, for example, if you work in medical domain, automotive domain, avionic domain, or transportation, each of them, they use different techniques and tools, different language, different kind of modeling. So how we can unify them? So our objective is to unify them so that there will be very high level generic approach that can fit for anything. Either you use medical or nuclear, automotive, avionic. You don't need to change your methods and techniques. Simply you can take the requirements from different domain and it should work. Wow, this is a challenge. Certificates, and at last, need some sound techniques to meet the regulators and the certification standards. For example, ISO 26262 or 178, DO 178, 72B or C, they have some certain requirements that should be met by your developed system. And if it is not, there is a problem. So how can you meet the evidence? If you develop some safety cases, how can you provide the evidences? All these are challenges for us, and we need required explicit safety assurance. So for example, maybe some of you knows that when we develop a Avonic system or the medical system, especially the manufacturer has to provide safety cases. And when the safety cases is nothing, it is an organization of the development of your whole system, and you have to prove that your system is safe. Okay, and that this is called the safety assurance. We design it, it's a by hand work, and we provide all the evidences what you collect from the test or from the proof, or when you do the coding, you do the unit testing, you have to provide all the evidence and to make sure your system is safe and correct. So this is also the one challenges in current development. Now, based on these challenges, I have tried to precisely provide the objectives. So for example, managing the complexity. If you remember in previous slide, there is a complexity. So I have tried to address the complexity. So the first is a stepwise development of safety critical system. Rather than developing a whole system in a one shot, we can apply progressive development. You can develop step by step, and whenever your first step is correct, you can add the new layer of your systems. The second, you can also introduce the safety properties in progressive manner. Rather than putting all the safety properties at the same level, you can put your safety requirements step by step based on your system requirements. Next is a system and environment modeling. I always emphasize to design environment. For example, what is the model of your heart? What is the model of your system body? If you are using Avonic system, what is the model of space? Of course, we cannot model very precise and concrete, but we can provide some abstraction that can try to capture your core systems. So I always emphasize to develop the environment modeling. In this talk, I will not discuss anything regarding environment modeling because due to time constraints, I cannot cover all the every details of this, but I will try to cover most of them. Okay. But of course, it is a challenge how you are going to model environment system. And more important, domain specific requirements. Today, when we work for the medical systems or Avonic system, there are domain specific requirements. For example, when we represent something like 32, in a model, you have a 32. What is 32 is a temperature. Okay, of course, it is a temperature, but temperature, it should be in the Celsius or in Fahrenheit. What? When we design the system, most of the time this unit is missing. So for example, this is a domain specific requirement, and we must include when you do formal verification and when you do design. Other thing, for example, the physics law, we should include the physics law. For example, what is the speed of the car or speed of any vehicle, then how it will behave in the real domain. So we should include all those details. Techniques and tool. We have not sufficient techniques and tool. We have so many languages. For example, today, when you go and check, you have C, C++, Java, C#, Python, scripting language. Everyone is moving towards on the web development. What is it? None of the technology you can use for developing a critical system. It's useless. So still, this is a challenge that what kind of tools and technique you should use. As I told you, managing the complexity. So you should use some refinement patterns that allow to refine your system. And when you refine your system, it means you progressively design your system. On the top level, when you design your system, you have to make sure when you add the new layer, your abstract machine is correct. If it is not correct, first you should make sure it is correct, and then you can add more and more properties to do it. And at last, how to demonstrate, especially for industry people, because industry, they say we have developed the safe systems, and when they go for certification body, they go through some rigorous testing and some analysis, and they figure it out. No, it's not. So generally they lose their 2 years or 3 years, because the certification always take more than 6 months, 1 year or 2 years. So another approach, you can assist industry as well as standard body, that how certification process can be faster and faster, especially in domain of critical system. At last, certification we can use, for example, especially I work in formal proof. So based on mathematics, we can ensure that if you have proved something, those can be used as evidence for system certification. And for example, there are Isabel, PBS, Koch theorem prover, or as well as JED specification language, ASM. There are several languages, but it is all are mathematical languages. Somehow, you can express your requirements in logic. And if you prove certain things, it's just like what you have studied in 12th or maybe later in BSc. For example, you have to prove some theorems. So we still do all these things in the software engineering to make sure your given specification or given behavior is correct. So of course, it's going to assist in certification process. Now, it is a traditional system engineering approach. Maybe you know, in this traditional system engineering approach, for example, we have a waterfall model, we have some spiral model. today a lot of safety critical system, they use the B model. We have agile based development, model based development, and currently I think the DevOps, I think everyone knows we use a lot, but none of them can solve our problem. Now I will present a formal framework. So I will try to be a little fast because still it's 8 slides. So this is a very simple framework. You can figure it out. That is very similar to waterfall model, but if you see very precisely, there are some steps those do not exist in standard life cycle. For example, there is informal system requirements. That's simple. When you define your requirements, those are always written in natural language. Maybe it can be Hindi language or English language or whatever the language you prefer, you can use. Then you can develop some requirements model development. This is it is called also the semi-formal or formal, but it is an intermediate stage of before formalization. Then there is a formal development. When you develop the formal model, you have to verify, you have to check all the properties and the model you have verified, those are correct. Finally, you can validate your model. There is interactive simulation. This is a simulation that can take the feedback from domain expert. I will discuss later why do we need it. And finally, we can produce the code. When you produce the code further, you can use a standard development life cycle, especially for testing and analysis purpose. But this life cycle, it's presently presented to integrate the formal methods automatically in software development life cycle. If there will be any error on any stage, you can go back. So it is steps for error correction. You can go back. If there is error in interactive simulation, you can go back in formal verification, validation, and maybe figure it out. Maybe error is in informal requirements or maybe at intermediate level. And this is a completely iterative process until you will not get a final correct model. So in this formal framework, first is the requirement model. How we can develop the requirement model? I told you that most of the requirements are always written in natural language, and I propose to use, we can use a requirements model, or simply we can say documenting system requirements. We can use tabular expression. Tabular expression is a very specific form that always you can represent in a relational form. So it is a form of table, but each table represents one function. So I think everyone knows it is a function. So you can compose the table. So this is called the functional composition. So this tabular expression was proposed by De Pernas in 1960, and he proposed different form of tabular expression. It was more than 11 types, and in each table there is a very specific requirement you have to meet, that is called the disjointness and the completeness. Disjointness means if there are 2 columns or the 2 rows, they should not overlap. Okay, and the completeness, if there are certain inputs, for example, in column and the row, it should cover all the inputs and the possibilities. Today, when we design a system, we don't do it. If I can give the challenge to everybody here, go and check your C program. If you will see it, if you write if, for example, if the temperature is more than 32, then do this operation. What about if it is less than 32? What about if it is equal to 32? We don't think about it. When we do the programming, we never ever imagine. And that's why tabular expression will help you to figure it out, all the possible cases for input and the output. And that's why we should represent in a table, but it is a very specific kind of table to design it. I can show you in this table, there are written some C1 and C2. So these are called the conditions. So for example, here in this table, the first row represent the conditions and the second row represent the expressions. Similarly, if you take another form, all first column represent the conditions and the second column represent the expressions. So I will try to show you one precise example based on the tabular expression. But first, why we should use tabular expression? First, it is a very useful way to document your requirements. If you know, in all industry, big companies, they document their requirements in Excel sheet. Okay, they use also doors, but they have a very similar kind of format, but they cannot ensure the 2 properties, those called disjointness and completeness. So it is a very useful way to document and to analyze your software system. It is very easy to read from left to right. For example, For me, I personally prefer to use horizontal condition table. In horizontal condition table, you can put all the condition on the left, and with respect to each scenario, you can have possible results. That is called the output variable. You can have one state variable, you can have several state variables, you can have several subconditions, so you can use it. And always this table satisfy the completeness and the disjointness properties. Let's go for a very small ride. It's a very simple example. I have simplified thermostat. In thermostat, you have a screen that can display the current temperature. You have switch on and switch off button, and you have increase and the decrease temperature. I have tried to represent the requirements of this in a two tabular form. So the first table form, it's a switch on and the switch off. So for example, in which scenario you can switch on and in which scenario you can switch off. For example, when the power is true, and if it is a switch on, then it will change to the switch off. When power is true, when it is a switch off, then it will change to the switch on. So this is a horizontal condition table. So it is simply your requirements are precisely described in this tabular form. And whenever the power is off, that's called no change. It means if there is power is off, you are not authorized to change the switch state. It means you cannot switch on or switch off. So you can see it is try to cover all the possible states, possible scenario. Take another example from the same requirements, how to increase and decrease the temperature. Whenever is a switch on state, so whenever is a switch on state, then you press button state. So press button state, if you press plus or minus, if you press plus, there is a possibility that the previous temperature, so temperature -1, it represents the previous temperature. So previous temperature is less than maximum temp. So if it is less than this, then you will increase the temperature. If it is a greater than equal to max temp, in that case, no change. Of course, you press the button, but it will not affect. The temperature is not going to increase. In similar fashion, if you take the minus symbol, of course, if it is a greater than mean temp, it will reduce the temperature. If it is a less than equal to mean temp, there is no change. Of course, the switch state is off, no change. So the tabular form forces us to take the requirements and to identify all possible inputs and the outputs. So this is called completeness. So here we meet the properties of completeness and disjointness. And if you specify your system requirements in this form, your test cases will pass 100%. There's a MCDC coverage will not be like 97% something. And if you will use this form, your formal methods can also prove very easily. Okay. This is just requirement documents. Now we can express in formal form. You can use any language like ASM, you can use PBS, any model checking language, model checking tools, or you can use formal proof tools to specify it. For me, I use Event B because I try to provide all the list of tools or which I have developed. It is for Event B, but this formal framework can support any other formal methods language. Okay, so I will just give you very basic idea of Event B. So in Event B, there are it's first order. It's based on first order logic. So you have a quantifiers, you have a propositional logic, and you can specify any systems by using this. There are two models. One is called context models and the machine. So these are two components. Context used to represent static properties of a system, and the machine can be used to specify the dynamic behavior of a systems. And of course, it can include some variables and invariants where you can specify your safety properties. On the right side, this is the organization of refinement. So for example, one machine can refine another. So simply you can add in layer different machines, and you can also introduce several contexts at the same time. And there are a relationship between machine and the context that is called the C. There is a relationship between the context and context. So one context is extended by another context. This is called the extend relationship. This is a very simple skeleton of this language. You can have a context model. In the context model, you can have set of axioms, theorems, and the constant. In machine, it can refine another machine, or maybe it can be abstract machine. It can see your context. You can have some set of variables, invariants, theorems, variants, and the set of events to represent automata of your system. On the right side, I have just given some simple proof obligations. So for example, invariant preservation, it is stated that if you have a set of axioms, set of invariants, guards are given for your particular event, then the before after action should implies that the invariant is preserved. So this is a formal notation for the proofs. In fact, when you specify your system, it automatically tool will produce such kind of proof obligation, and you need to discharge to make sure your model is correctly developed. Okay. In same way, you can define theorems. You can also check the variant for the modeling or the event feasibility. There are a lot of properties. Those can be used. And this language was designed by Jomo Abrial from France. Now we can, as I told you in a previous step, that all the requirements are specified in tables. So you have a natural language requirements, then we specified in a tabular form. Now, of course, how can we transform from the table to event-B language? If you know event-B very well, you can directly write your model in event-B. Of course, it will work. But my approach is different because I want to assist industrial people so they should not worry about the refinement. Means if you represent something in table form, directly it can produce the event-B model for you. So I have written I have proposed already different kind of refinement strategy that can be used to produce an event-B model. So I will present only one of them. This is called based on superposition refinement. If you have several tables, if you have n tables, each time you can add another table based on some certain rules. Okay, so for example, if you have 10 tables, it can produce the 10 refinement. But of course, this approach has some limitation. For example, most of the time there are some problems, some more than 2 tables or 3 tables we have to model together. Okay, we need to provide dependency order between the tables, and these tables, whatever you are going to use, those do not support natural language, of course, because tabular expression also allow natural language. You can specify in a cell that you can write something in natural language, but there is a limitation of this refinement strategy that if you have something in natural language, I cannot transform easily just because of automation. Here I have tried to present the formal definition of this refinement strategy. So this is it's a rule. It can take a set of tables. So you can take a set of tabular expression and you can produce a set of machines from the event B. So this is a simple definition is given. There is a formal definition how it is going to take all the tables. So for example, this is called the rule 1. In rule 1, you have a set of tables from tabular expression and you have a set of machine for event B. This is called ME. ME is equivalent to AM. This is called abstract model that is refined by another model that is called the concrete model 1, concrete model 2, CM2, and the CMN. So you can have several forms. And how can you represent AM1? So AM1 is a representation of T0. T0, you can take the first tabular expression, and there is a projection relationship. So it can take all the possible columns. So C0 to P, it can take all possible columns and the results to produce from this table. So it can produce first abstract model. In similar way, CM1, you can take the first abstract model, whatever you have proposed, union of another table that is called T1. T1 is a member of T, and it can also project from C0 to Q. So it can take all the columns of your table and the result from T1. In similar fashion, you can take all for N. Okay, so this is a formal definitions of this transformation strategy. This is a tool that we have developed, TX to EB, that's a tabular expression to event B. It can transform your event B model it can transform your tabular expression into event B. For example, this is a tabular expression. So for example, you have set of condition, there is a set of actions or results, how it can be written in a tabular expression form. So in this tool, you can take all the condition on the left side, and the right side, you can give also the possible type of your all constructs, variables, and the constant, and then you can provide respective output for this function. So it can produce a function and it can type check automatically. If it is a failure, you need to for example, it can check the properties of disjointness and completeness. If there is an error, of course, it will let you know where is the problem. Okay. I have tried to show an example what we used before. So it is still your thermostat example. You have a table for switch case, and there is the second table for the temperature increase and decrease. You can see there is a highlighted row in light gray color. So this is a corresponding event B model. So for example, power is true, switch state is off, then on. So you can see power is true, switch state is off, then switch is on. So of course, this event B model is going to take what is switch state, what is power. So all the typing definitions are defined. Okay, but it all will be produced by the tool automatically. In similarly, another table, you can see there is a function. So switch on, press button is plus. So switch on, press button is plus, temperature is less than minus temp, then your temperature should increase. So it will increase the temperature. So all these tabular form is going to encode in event B by respecting all the refinement laws. Okay. So when you define in event B, when you get first your model of the chain of development, then you should use RODA tool. So RODA is developed in Eclipse framework. So it is a very big tool where you can check your model is correct or not. So simply you can import your model, and then you can launch the prover to test all the properties you have defined, all the specification you have defined, it is correct. If there will be any problem, it will let you know, because it is one kind of parser. So it can parse your model and it will give you some error. So for example, on the right side, if all the properties will be proved based on given hypothesis or the data types and actions, you can see there is a green signal. And if there will be failure, it will be red. So you can use verification tool to prove it. Now, the question of validation, whatever you have model, it is valid or not. Validation is very important. For example, we use Probe model checker. This is a model checker as well as animator. You can animate your model. So simply whatever you have specified in event B model, you can animate it. So for example, there is one model is given. Whenever you animate, it will specify all the possible types of variable. What are the expected values you can see on the right side? Simply it's execute your mathematical model. And if there will be any failure or anything, it will let you know. You can also see some graphical representation. So you can write some liveness properties or the deadlock check if your model is not deadlock. So maybe I hope you know what is deadlock, and there is a liveness properties. So you can express your liveness properties and you can make sure if there is a failure in your system. Simply we use model checking tools for all these. So you can Probe model checker or more animator tool you can use continue in this framework. Interactive simulation. Interactive simulation is a one kind of, in 2010, I proposed this approach because I met with some doctors and they told me your model, I don't know what is it, because the model is written completely in mathematics, and doctors, they don't know the mathematics, and that's why they are doctor. So of course, this is a big challenge for us software engineers or mathematicians to fill this gap. So our objective behind this to develop an interactive simulator is to validate the system behavior with the domain expert. And the domain expert, they can be a different kind of stakeholders. So if there is a very big project, there are different kind of stakeholders and they don't know about the requirements. So we propose an idea that you can take your original requirements, you can take your original specification, and then you can animate it. So you can represent in graphical form, and that is very easy to explain them how your system is behaving based on this system. And this approach is very powerful to identify the bugs in very early stage of the development. You no need to wait until the testing of the system, but when you specify your system, you can identify the bug. That's why a lot of people today, they want to develop the simulator for complex systems. And whatever the result you will obtain, it can also assist for certification. So for this is a very simple framework. You can collect the data from real-time environment, or you can collect some features. Those features you can store in a disk if you want to use in future, or if you don't want to use, you can directly pass. This is a engine that is called the BRAMA plugin. That's this plugin was developed by a company. So it is just like an interface plugin that can transform your event B model, and it will read and write from your event B model, and it can also communicate with the visual animation. This visual animation, you can use any tool, graphical tools today, and you whatever the behavior of event B, it can display here on the screen. Okay, this is like a one kind of interactive simulation you can perform. Now is the code generation. Of course, you have documented the requirements, you model the systems, you validate it, you check it, you interactively animated it, and now the question of how you can produce the code. So if you can produce the code manually, but I prefer to produce the code automatically, because most of the specification you have specified, it is in mathematical form, and it is very hard for certain programmer to understand what kind of symbol is used. So I developed this tool in 2010 as well, but it is still under development. This is called the EB2all. This is from event B to several target languages. So it supports currently C language, C++, Java, C#, and the Solidity. It is completely open source and developed for the Roda. More than 20,000 lines of code, and till now it is more than 7,000 downloads. You can also get access of this tool from this link. On the right side, this is a simple architecture of this language. With it can take your Roda project automatically. It can parse, it can check if there is any other problem, and it will apply lexical and syntactic analysis for producing the code in your selected target language. This language is a subset of event B. So for example, we do not support all the possible symbols those exist in event B, but we only support some certain symbols. So here I have tried to list it, and there is an equivalent transformation in C, C++, but of course there is a transformation in C# and Java. Moreover, it's also support event B types. There is a corresponding type in C. So enumerated types in B, it is equivalent to in C language, it's enumerated type. You have basic integer, this is called the predefined integer types in C. You have event B array, that is called the C array. You have a function in event B that's represented as a C language function. There are in event B, you can take any infinite type. So that's why but the language no. So that's why we have tried to consider some formal range. So for example, target language int 16, if you will take this event B type, then it will support -2 to the power 15 to 2 to the power 15. And simply in C language, you can write int 16t. Okay. This language, this EB2all also support set transformation. So if you have use set operators, of course, C language cannot support, but in C++ we can use standard template library to transform the code. So it can produce the code for you automatically. Same for C#, Java, and Solidity. This is a very simple screen where if you will install it, after installation, if you will execute, it will show some translator menu, or there are some toolbar. You can select your Roda project and it can produce the code automatically. If you want sequential code, means it can produce, it is called the scheduler, it can produce the code, or you can produce the code in optimized way. So, but it will produce code automatically. Okay. Now, we have seen the formal framework. I will take a little more time to present a case study. That is a real case study of insulin infusion pump. So what is insulin infusion pump? It is a very small medical system, but it is a very complex and the software intensive, and this is called class 2 type device. And there are several deaths are already reported because of this device, because it's always inject insulin in a controlled manner. But if there is a malfunction and malbehavior, it can give more insulin or maybe less insulin, and that's why the patient can die. And we have collected the requirements, mostly or you can see requirement 1, requirement 2, requirement 3, and so on. These are the natural language requirements. Mostly whenever you design a system, mostly we write in this way. The device must go undergo a power on self-test where device power is turned on. The device must suspend all the active basal delivery, bolus delivery during the refilling or case of failure system. So you can see this is a natural language. Requirements are given, and continue on the next slide. Now we formalized we formalize all these natural language requirements in the tabular form. So for example, what does it mean by post? So the post is completed without problem, then the C power status is passed, and when it will fail, the C power status will fail. If there is a power status requirements, in this power status requirement, if the C power status is standby, if there is a monitor variable that is called the exist M power request, then there is a post. If it is not, there is no change. So you can see all the requirements, those are written here in natural language, all of them are transformed in tabular form. Okay, it took us almost 2 years to transform. We have total 49 tabular expressions. Some of them are very large and complex. I will try to just take some of the abstracts. So for example, you can see how axioms are used to define enumerated types or maybe some variables. So you can see those are written in invariants. So for example, post completed, it's represented in Boolean form. There is a post completed. So for example, what is the row is in gray color here. Those are exactly abstracted in event B form. So for example, C power status is standby power status. If there exists monitor power request, in that case, power status must be modified. So these are the tabular expression representation of insulin pump. Here is a more little bit complex expression. So you can see how it is expressed in tabular form, and further we have transformed into the event. Okay. Due to time constraint, I will try to move little faster. These are all safety requirements we have defined in insulin infusion pump. So for example, I can just explain one of them. Entered basal profile is valid. So if it is a valid, then there exists the basal profile. So this is called the entered basal rate. It should be within the range. So K max minimum basal bound, and it should be within the range of maximum basal bound. So whenever you have the insulin delivery rate, it should be always in between it. You have to make sure this properties is holded by your specified system. So for example, the current insulin out should be always less than K maximum daily insulin rate. So there are a lot of safety properties. All these are global safety properties. Those are defined at the end of the development. In this development, we have all the requirements are given, highlighted, how it is covered in refinement 1, refinement 2, refinement 3. So we have total, in fact, when we produced the code, it was 47 refinements, but I try to merge some of them to make it more precise. So for example, user operations, basal profile management, temporary basal profile management, bolus preset management. So all those are given in different refinement forms. In order to ensure that all the requirements are correct, this is a proof statics generated by Roda tools. So we have 444 proof obligation, in which 342, 77% are proved automatically. You don't need to interact, and 23% you have to play manually. It means you simplify some of the expressions to discharge the generated proof obligations. Now, interactive simulations. So we use a more Probe model checker to check certain properties like deadlock freeness and to identify some counter examples. And we also use spatial archive, UC Irwin machine learning repository. We found some data we use for the glucose monitoring, and it can pass to the BRAMA plugin. On the other side, you have event B model. So event B model is in which scenario it is injecting the insulin or it is not, or if you are changing the functionality of your device. In that case, it is always showing through the graphics on the top. So we use this data set to design the real-time animator for insulin pump. Now, code generation. This is produced by EB2all. From the model, it produced some constants, some enumerated types, some Boolean types, some unsigned integers. So, and still it is a more than 256 variables, and the constants are used to define. I just tried to take some snapshots to show it. And then, of course, there is a corresponding C code. So for example, if you, whatever I had shown you before, so I try to keep the same model, and there is a respective code. So for example, C power status is this. You can see there is a certain guards are given. It is written in C language. If C power status is standby C power status, and if M power request is true, then the power status should be changed. So all the events are with respect to the each row in your tabular expression. So there you have a complete traceability, as well as each event represent the corresponding function. So for example, power status 1 is represented at for this one. Okay. Now, assessment of this framework. So this framework we have used on the insulin pump, where it is a model is more than 1,500 pages long. It's A4 size, and we have total 444 proof obligation. We had 49 tabular expression, but this work was an initial work, and we transform all the tabular expression in event B manually. But this model is also proved and checked by the medical expert. Nuclear shutdown system. So this, I cannot disclose the detail of this model due to certain constraint, but this was more than 50 pages, and it is a structured model in 16 tabular expression form. We had 99 proof obligations, and it was proved by and analyzed by the Ontario power generation expert to make sure the behavior is correct. And but these all case study use a formal form what I presented here. So it is the formal framework used for developing it. And finally, the function block. So this is called the IEC 611313. So we have total 18 tabular expressions, and each of them we have more than 2 and 5 refinements. It's more than 100 pages long event B model, more than 500 proof obligations to make sure all the blocks are correct. So all the functional blocks are transformed into the tabular expression and then further in event B to check the correctness of this table. And this is very helpful for certification body to ensure that whatever the functional block you are going to use or for designing a system, those are correct. And but this is completely produced by the TX2EB. So the first two are transformed manually, but the third one we use the develop TX2EB to produce the event B model, and further we use event B tools to work on. Now, finally, it's the time for conclusion. So I have tried to give you a very superficial view for the formal framework, but maybe I would be happy if you will ask more questions, and you can send me your mail later to know more detail about it. This framework is supported by several tools. For example, you can use documentation requirement, automatic refinement, formal verification, real-time animator, and the code generation. I think if you know software engineering, you have figured it out that most of the things what I have presented here, those do not exist in standard life cycle. Requirement models make system complete, auto-refinable, and it also helps to reducing the proof of work. If you want to develop your system directly in event B, your proof of work will be too difficult. Maybe some of you have already the experience. But if you use tabular expression, it is just like automation. It is a chain of tools. You just specify your system in tables, and automatically rest of the things will be happen automatically. Integration of different stakeholders. If you use real-time animator, it will help to the different stakeholders to interact to each other and to help for designing a system, as well as it can also help you to identify bugs in early stage of the development. And finally, all the artifacts we can collect from the proofs or from traceability for the code generation, all these approach will help you to certify your requirements or certifying the critical systems. I have tried to give you the reference of this book. It was published in 2013. Simply, you can get real-time animator and the code generation detail, but rest of the other parts are developed later and reported in other journals and conferences. Thank you very much for your attention, please.
So are there any questions? So I don't think there are any questions as of now.
Sir, when we are going to design any event B model, so we just need the conditions and the environment properties. The data that we are having, that is not required, sir.
Data, which means data, well, when you specify your system, you know the range. Of course, you can design your system without considering the range. Okay, if you don't know the range, you just take like integer type. So when you say integer, it is like infinite. We don't know the range. And further, when you specify your system, you can constrain it step by step. So generally, when we define abstract system, you give the large view. You just take specify the systems without constraining the behavior or functional behavior of your systems. But when you refine, you add more and more guards. So you can strength, or maybe you constraints your state space. So you can provide it step by step in event B.
All right, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir. Your address was really informative and knowledgeable for us. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I myself did my doctoral work on formal modeling, wherein I used sir process calculus and verified the model using bisimulation based technique. So and use a total theorem proving approach to verify the system. So, so that was very informative for me and for whole audience. So thank you for being here and delivering the talk that is the need of the society to understand the formal methods in any safety critical system.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. Now, session for paper presentation will get started, and we will be allocating the authors to their respective rooms. Kindly rename your profile name as session number dash paper ID. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So we are going to begin our session, and all the participants are benefited with your talk, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hope we have break for 15 minutes at 12:05.
All the participants are who are still here in the main room are requested to please rename your profile name as a session number and a paper ID. We are shifting you in your session room. All the session chairs, if present here, are also requested to please rename your profile name as your name and then session number.